The world is becoming increasingly ambiguous, volatile, and the big change I see today is that it's no longer enough to teach people something, but you need to have this kind of compass and the navigation skills that tell you, what is right, what is wrong, where do I go, how do I not, learn for a job, but create my job. And that's, I think, really a challenge for people today. We find ourselves in the same situation that people with routine skills found themselves in the Industrial Revolution. A lot of people losing their jobs because the kind of ways in which we used to work, we used to think, are no longer relevant. That's what the digital revolution does to many of the skills that are very well established in education today. But I do think that's a phenomenon that it's not the first time in history that we're seeing those kind of paradigm shifts. And the question is, how do we respond to this? How do we equip people with those 21st century skills that are going to be very important for this? And innovation is no longer about you being great in your field of specialization, inventing something, doing it. It's about you being able to connect the dots between, people working in different fields, thinking across disciplines, thinking across contexts, connecting the dots where the next innovation is going to come from. So in a way, I think, and that's the fundamental flaw that we have in our education systems today, because, everybody talks about social skills, but at the end of the year, we give students an individual certificate. So the whole focus is on, what I need to know. And that's very important, but we need to sort of put greater intention on the other parts. And therefore, the economic success today is very much about you being able to collaborate, compete, and connect with people who are different from you. I'm successful today because I can solve problems, I can sort of have the mathematics that I need, the literacy skills. But those other parts probably, they have a longer shelf life. And if you think about curiosity, leadership, resilience, empathy. In the past, it was about building relationships with your family, with your kind of relatives, with the kind of networks that actually support you. Today, it's about building sort of relationships with people who may think differently from you, who may have look at the world in a different way, who may come from a different disciplinary specialization, who may work and think really differently. And that's, I think, a big challenge for people to connect, collaborate, compete with people who we don't know, who may really be quite different than us. And it requires the capacity to see the world through different lenses, to appreciate different value systems, to respect different cultures. And I think those people who are able to do that, they'll find their way through this kind of work. Those people who struggle with this, they see the world as, threatening them. They see globalization as coming to them rather than them being part of it. And the key differentiator of a great school isn't about better math and science. It's very much about those kinds of character skills. So good institutions do that. The question is how you can make that success systemic, how you can make that kind of education that traditionally is reserved for a small elite becomes accessible to all. Gateways that we have in education, whether it's university admission or school exams, they have a huge influence on how we learn, how we teach, and how schools operate. If we put the emphasis on, 21st century skills in schooling, on critical thinking, on, advanced reasoning skills, and then at the end of the day, when the university entrance exams comes, we'd give them a multiple choice test. That's not going to work very well, and that's where part of the problems lie today. There's a misalignment between the gateways that define success and the learning environments that teachers often aspire to. We have to acknowledge that the gap between what our societies and economies demand and what schools provide is actually becoming wider at these times. The model of the concept, the model of schooling that we use isn't responding fast enough to the changes that occur. While the people at the front line, teachers, unions, actually will tell you the opposite. They say, well, stop, it's going too fast. Actually, we need to move a lot faster on this. And what it actually requires is a kind of transformational change. Now, how do we actually think about the work organization in our schools? How do we think about the career structures? How do we actually make teachers designers, not implementers of instructional processes? Like many other professions have done, We need to get the process of, development of the instructional system, of the evaluation processes. We need to get a lot more of that into the schools from sort of higher levels in the systems. Get a lot more responsibility for professional standards to the front line. And that's a hard process to do. But, only if you don't get teachers at the front line to understand the 21st century skills that Jim done, and the why and the how of why, it's not only knowledge, it's not only metacognition, not only skills, it's character and all of this. If teachers don't sort of see that importance, and if they don't have access to the tools they need to develop those skills, you can have the best education system and it will make a very sort of idiosyncratic impact only. We don't lack really good schools. We lack strong education systems that make those good practices systemic.